Hey guys, welcome back to the Badger Arcade. I'm just making a quick little video. Hopefully this my air conditioner just popped on. I hope it's not a distraction. I apologize for that. Anyway, just putting up a quick little video because I wanted to talk about this article that came out. Somebody sent to me from reclaimthenet.org because this is relevant. This is how you know this whole Sweet Baby Inc. thing is just a tiny part of a much bigger problem. A problem of government overreach and corporate and government incest that we should be aware of as people. You know, I was going to say Americans, but a lot of you guys are not American. And but you should also care about this because things like this are likely happening all over. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that this is a space that men tend to dominate. So let's get into this article. So a friend of mine, Peter, sent this to me. State Department wants to use video games to tackle Ukraine disinformation. New funding for shaping online narratives. Now, tomorrow on Badger live streams over at the Honey Badger channel, I'm going to be talking to BX about some things related to the push in social media from various organizations to young men to essentially try to groom them into going into, to transitioning from male to female, to commit horrible acts of self-harm on themselves, to commit mass shootings and other things, and they infiltrate these male spaces, male-dominated spaces, forums, game spaces, communities, things like that. And the government has the Department of Homeland Security involved. We have talked about this before. BX has been talking about this for a very long time. So please check that out tomorrow at Badger live streams and on this channel, although I may try to simulcast to this channel as well if you are not subscribed over at Badger live stream. All right, anyway, so what is this about? Let's take a look. The US State Department has made moves to utilize esports as a tool in their fight against so-called misinformation in Ukraine, as evidenced by a recent grant listing. The plan involves training Ukrainians in competitive video gaming while concurrently enhancing their skills in counteracting foreign propaganda and disinformation within these online gaming spaces. This new agenda seemingly fits into a broader strategy implemented since President Joe Biden took office in 2021. The State Department, under his leadership, has increasingly focused on tackling perceived disinformation, resorting in some instances to funding entities known for censorship pressure. Interestingly, funding pro-censorship bodies has been a previously employed strategy by the State Department to quell disinformation. Case in point is the Global Disinformation Index, a UK-based entity. The GDI ran a blacklist that guides advertising companies on which news outlets allegedly dispense disinformation, thereby suggesting withholding of ad revenues from such platforms. News outlets that have previously fallen victim to such categorization by GDI include high-profile entities such as the New York Post. Meanwhile, as first noticed by the Daily Caller, the grant listing is bereft of explicit details on how Ukrainians developing video gaming skills will be instrumental in battling disinformation. Nonetheless, the initiative expects to harness the widespread acceptance and reach of video games in Eastern Europe as a combined approach to form an esports program whose aspirations match those of the grant program. Traditionally, esports refers to multiplayer gaming competitions that attract professional gamers and sizable viewing audiences. The funding's end product will be a gaming tournament, having first offered federally funded professional training to Ukrainian esports athletes. Why would you call them athletes if they're playing video games? That's kind of strange. Anyway, this training is expected to create a reservoir of skilled gamers ready for engagement by local professional teams. The expenditure on the Ukrainian-based esports initiative, aimed, amongst other things, at battling disinformation, will be $250,000 as per the grant listing. It could be more than that, though, depending on how many other groups are sort of like connected to it. So why is this a problem? Well, because what you see or what they tell you they're doing is always not the whole story. What do they mean? This only should raise questions. And I'm going to make this video short. I'm just going to ask you guys what you think, okay? So when they say battling against misinformation in Ukraine, what does that mean? When you get Ukrainians involved in competitive video gaming, which I'm not sure how that works since most of them are probably getting drafted into actual war, what would be the purpose of making them like essentially paying for grants that involve getting Ukrainians in video game competition unless they're underage? So it's like preparing them to be drafted for when they become of age where they can be drafted. I'm not sure. And they're also supposed to, and this is I think very key, concurrently enhancing their skills in counteracting foreign propaganda and disinformation within online spaces. Now that, you know, I don't know, like, I don't know what, you know, like what your view is on the Ukraine-Russia conflict. I am very non-interventionalist. I don't want us involved. I think that we should be making deals. I think that Trump was doing a very good job, which is why there were no invasions, there were no new wars, there was no garbage going on when he was in office, because he was making deals with people. And like right after he was out, you know, Russia invaded Ukraine, and now we have Russia, Ukraine, we got Israel and Gaza, Palestine, whatever, and we have Taiwan and China, like, and Iran just launched drones. Like, things are getting absolutely insane, and most of the West is paying the price. So, you know, like, I think that if people don't want to support these things, it is their right, but I wonder what the purpose of spending hundreds of thousands of dollars to tackle Ukraine disinformation through video game spaces. Well, what does that really mean? I'd like to know what your thoughts are on that in the description. Of course, anything that becomes a you know, sort of like a massive industry, and that usually they are grown by the purchasing power of young people, that often becomes an opportunity for propaganda. You can just look at even women's you know, shopping habits are infiltrated. You can look at it in their advertising, you can look on websites. You know, it's everywhere. I don't really need to tell you guys. I'm sure you know. So let me know what you guys think about this. I will leave a link to the article in the description of this video. Thank you so much for coming on. I might be doing a stream later on today, and I will talk to you all in the next one. Long live Vivian.